we address the contracts in our rules. We recess rules so the other committees can then meet, and we incorporate the testimony of those committees into the rest of the rules agenda. So without any further ado, we call in the roll for the rules committee, or do I have to do it? Okay, let's go. Aaron, you thought I was going to forget?
No, never.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Rules Committee. Legislator, Carrier Salage.
Here.
Legislator, Delia DeRiggi-Witten. Ranking Member, Kavan Abraham.
Here.
Alternate Deputy Presiding Officer, Howard Coppell. Legislator, Dennis Dunn.
Here.
Vice Chairman, Richard Nicolello. Chairman, Norman Gonzalez.
Present, thank you very much, Mr. Pelosi.
We have a quorum here.
Thank you. Okay, and as I said, we begin with contracts, and then we will recess so the other committees can meet and bring their items to the floor.
These, just want to make a quick
Sure.
announcement that
Oh.
former legislator Fran Becker's brother, we all know Hillary, his Fran's brother Hillary made it into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame because he's run an incredible youth program at Lynbrook. It's called the Titan Wrestling Program with his grandpa, with his uncle Bob Becker. We all knew him as Baldy Bob Becker. It's a wonderful, wonderful man who's recently passed away. But one of the fellas that went through the program was Hillary's son, and last night he pinned his man in the finals of Nassau County Championships. So his, the bloodline is great. Randy wrestled back in St. Paul's, I think it was, but the Becker wrestling clan has really come to fruition with this young kid who's quite a wrestler. And not only that, but Montour High School put 7 guys into the finals and edged out the standing champions, Long Beach. Now, Long Beach beat Montour by 2 points in the team championships 2 weeks ago, and yesterday was the individuals, and Montour kicked butt. They were really, really good last night. So if anybody missed the wrestling championships here in Nassau County, you missed a real great entertainment, great talent on the wrestling mat. So, Franny, congratulations to Joe, your nephew, and God bless him. And to Montour and to Long Beach, great teams. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mr. Dunn. Just
No applause?
Fine.
You're all nervous today.
Okay, I need to make an announcement that at 6:30 tonight in this chamber, there's going to be a Hands and Hearts against heroin addiction, and it's going to be here in the chamber. And the highlight, of course, would be many organizations are going to be here presenting information on the opportunities for residents and groups to receive whatever they can in information against a heroin addiction. And I have to say, unfortunately, this weekend, someone, a 19-year-old, a female, succumbed to heroin overdose. And so, no matter how much we try, we still have not done enough to try to lessen the loss of young lives to addiction. So if you can be here tonight, it would be nice. And without any further ado, we're ready to go into contracts. And we're beginning with the first contract, which is contract with the Office of Purchasing and Turf Inc. Motion, please. Moved by Legislator Dunn, second by Legislator Coppell. Okay. And it's item A317. Thank you very much. All right, who's here to speak? Anybody here? Okay. Go.
Eileen Creve, Department of Parks.
Okay.
I'm here seeking your approval to authorize the award of a purchase order to A-Turf Incorporated to furnish and install a high-density, commercial-grade replacement carpet at Mitchell Athletic Complex, home of Nassau Community College athletic programs, and utilized by many various high schools in the area, such as Uniondale, East Meadow, Chaminade, Kellenberg, and some of our camps. The solicitation was advertised in Newsday and posted to the county bids solicitation board, where 35 vendors were notified electronically of the bid. 3 vendors were women-owned businesses. Minority Affairs received copies of the bids, and 4 bids were received, none of which were minority, women, or veteran-owned. The existing turf at Mitchell Complex is 10 years old. Last year we had a GMAX test to assess the condition, and we were informed that it had exceeded its useful life. We allowed 1 more year to continue our repairs, but now we are at the point that it's severely worn and a safety issue, and which becomes a liability. A purchase order in the amount of $351,550 would be the cost of the contract. All fees raised at Mitchell stay at Mitchell in a designated account, so this project would be funded through the designated account which has been set up at Mitchell. In anticipation of this replacement, Parks has set aside funding each year, so we have more than sufficient amount of money to cover this contract.
Any questions from the legislators? Legislator Nicolau.
I just want to reemphasize something you just said, which is that we allow, or that a number of local colleges do use that field, Malloy and other colleges, correct?
Correct.
And the Nassau Community College uses it extensively. I mean, they're virtually...
It's their home for all their athletic programs.
Football, soccer, lacrosse.
Yes.
Okay. And that's no charge, basically a service to the
Yeah,
students.
they pay no fees. The other schools do pay a fee, which brings in about $300,000 a year.
Okay. So, and as I said, that field in particular gets extensive use.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Any legislators Salagis?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. My question, I guess, is about what you will be replacing this field with. Is it correct that the replacement turf is made of tire crumbs, which comprise of bits of shredded arsenic, benzene, cadmium, and nickel, as well as other compounds according to the EPA? As we used to know the EPA, not the new EPA. But is it true that the replacement turf is made of these items?
I don't know to the detail that you're asking. I know the density of the product that we're putting in, and I also know that DPW has issued these, responded to these kind of questions in the past on other installations that we've made. So,
But as to this installation, and I'm glad that you know about the density, but in terms of the actual material, are you aware of the components of the material?
Again, I'm not an engineer to know the details of it, but I do understand that the density is much thicker. The pile's more dense than the others, so it will require less of a base of the crumb rubber, which is always being questioned.
But it does contain the crumb rubber that I'm referring to.
Yes, some, but much less than in the past.
The same crumb rubber that contains arsenic, benzene, cadmium, and nickel that some people will be using.
I don't know what it's composed of, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, Legislator Judy Jacobs and Representative Steve Israel have, in the past, may she rest in peace, of course, have raised concerns about the safety of such fields. A 2009 EPA study for such fields said that the concentrations of the components were below levels of concern, but added that the study was too limited to draw comprehensive conclusions. A State Department fact sheet says that based on available information, the chemical exposures from the crumb rubber in the synthetic turf do not pose a public health. That's what a health department study said. And also I'm referring to an editorial by Newsday dated January 25th. So my questions going forward is that, are you aware that the NFL Buffalo Bills had issues with this turf product on their stadium field? Are you aware of that?
No.
No, okay. And the rubber infill built on the field due to improperly used snow tractor, had to stop a past game. Do we know if any infill materials used by the turf and mentioned previously are safe for children? Do we know if this material is safe for children? I see you, Counselor.
If there was any danger to children, this product would definitely not be recommended. It's been recently installed in local high schools in this area, Long Island. And again, I would think that the research on it would never allow them to install something that was unsafe for children.
Okay, I
And remember,
understand.
this is a replacement carpet. It's not brand new. We're tearing up what's there and we're laying a new carpet. So it's not a new turf field we're putting in, but the carpet is brand new.
In the past several years, have we done synthetic turf fields in Mitchell Field?
No, this is a 10-year-old carpet that we're replacing. Oh, I'm sorry, Nassau County, Malloy College, I believe installed something there, but this is the county field that we're doing.
What is the typical lifespan for our synthetic turf fields before they need to be replaced?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But bottom line, is this field safe for children?
Again, I would assume that it is safe for children, or else it wouldn't be installed or sold as a product.
But that is an assumption.
Yes.
Thank you.
Legislator Dunn.
Hi, the New York Dormitory Authority allows the NCAA teams to play on this kind of field, correct?
Correct.
And in your backup, you always ask them when you put out for a contract to make sure it's non-toxic stuff that's being put on field. Is that part of the clause?
That's part of the specification.
So we're telling them not to. And usually is there a 10-year or 15-year guarantee with these fields or not?
I'm not familiar. I think I read that there's a 10-year warranty with this purchase order, but I'd have to review it again. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the 10 years with the previous one is finalized, okay. And, you know, I've seen an awful lot of I guess, Land Tech doing high schools everywhere. And they're very, very shy of making the same price. Is their product different, or is the same product just less expensive?
We put out the spec sheet. I'm not sure exactly what they bid, but their price came in higher. So we went for the best quality and the best price.
Excellent, excellent. You answered all my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any public comment on this contract? There being none, all those in favor of A317 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye, the contract passes 4-3. The next contract is B117, a resolution authorizing the county executive to award and execute a contract between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and the Franklin Company Contractors, Inc. Motion, please.